Panther teams in the early 2010s were known to be extremely hard to play against. And today's guest was a standout in those teams, both for his physical play and for his offensive production over the course of his 4 years here. He has since gone on to an impressive 8-year pro career and is currently plying his trade overseas in Germany. Please welcome Mississauga, Ontario native, Chris DeSousa. All right, pleased to have with us again as the second international guest on the Panther Primer Alumni Series, all the way from Munich, Germany, Chris DeSousa. Good to see you again, Seuss.
Yeah, great to see you too. Been a long time.
That's right. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it's been what, near 8 years, right?
Yep, 8-9 years now. So
It's
been a long time, but it flew by. To be honest, really flew by.
Sure thing. So, Seuss, I want to go back. You came to the Panthers, played for UPEI for 4 years, but your first experience on the island actually didn't come with the Panthers. You were a member of the Toronto Junior Canadians, I think you were called, at midget team at the time. You participated in the TELUS Cup in 2006. You would have played against one of your teammates, Travis McIsaac, during that time, and you think back in that tournament, what was that first experience like for you, being a guy, playing in the TELUS Cup, big tournament here in Charlottetown back at that time? Your team did pretty well. Maybe came a little close in the end.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. I mean, so that year I was with my age group, the minor midget team, and that was our OHL draft year. And then our season finished. I remember that we played the finals of the OHL Cup, which sums up the whole season. And then that night, I got a call from the midget coach and said, we want you to come up and play with us right now. And there's a few of us that went up, probably 4 or 5 of us, and we joined that team because our minor midget team was really good. And we joined that midget team, finished the playoffs with them, went to the All Ontarios, and we ended up winning all of that and ended up going to the TELUS Cup. And it was really cool. I'm glad I got to experience it. I never ended up playing midget my midget eligible year, so I'm glad that I was able to experience that a year early. And it was awesome. I remember I'd never been to the East Coast of Canada before. And didn't know anything about PEI, and to go there, and we played at it's now the Eastlink Center. Am I right? We got to play there, and it was really cool. I believe we lost in the semifinals to the Calgary Dinos. Buffaloes, sorry. Yeah. They had Jordan Eberle on that team, and just all around a great experience.
You had some pretty good players in your team too. You had Alex Petrangelo played in your team, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Mike Durazzo played with St. Mary's.
Yeah. So all of us played together for a few years growing up. I played with Petro a long time, and I also played with him in junior too. So it was nice to be with those guys. We came up, and I felt kind of bad too because there was guys on that midget team all year playing, and then they brought up 4 or 5 of us, and we ended up taking some spots. So it was kind of tough, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed my time. And like you said, we had a pretty good team, and we did pretty well. We came up short, but experience I'll never forget for sure.
For sure. You were just referencing the junior earlier there, and you did have the opportunity to go to play in the Memorial Cup final, the OHL final with, of course, Dave Cameron was your coach in Mississauga in your final year. You did have the opportunity to reunite with Dave during your time in Vienna, where you spent it with Alex Wall, former Panther, former teammate of yours, one of my favorite defensemen here at UPEI. But what was that like? Kind of looking at Dave, you would have had him as like a 20-year-old, then you have him as an adult. What was that like? Was in terms of having him as a junior coach, then having him at the pro level a little bit later on?
Yeah, it was 2 different experiences, I guess. So when I played with him in junior, it was my overage year. I was with the London Knights, and at the deadline, I remember Dale Hunter called me, and he said, because I had like a no movement clause, and he said, "Listen, I want you to go to Mississauga. I got a deal done. You're going to play in the Memorial Cup in your last year. It's exactly what I want for you." And Mike Durazio as well. We both went together.
Right.
So it was great, and they had a great team. But, when you're with a team the whole year, it's a little different, or even if you grow up in that organization. So, I kind of felt like I wasn't fully, like, I didn't come from the bottom with these guys and make it there. And, but nonetheless, it was a great experience. And when it comes to Dave, and I've told him this before, when we were in Vienna together, and I was like, "You know what, Dave, you were kind of an and he goes, "Yeah, I am." A lot of people say that. So no, but he was a great coach then, and it was just different scenario where then now in Vienna, I was a guy that he brought in right away in his first year, and we grew a great relationship. Actually, I have the most respect for Dave Cameron. One of the best coaches for sure I've ever played for. Very smart hockey mind. He breaks down the game so well in video, and the system is, the teams he coaches become a well-oiled machine, really, and that's how I remember our Mississauga team in junior, and that's how our Vienna team was as well. But yeah, he was great, and we grew a great relationship. One thing about Dave is when we were in Vienna, he didn't like days off. He didn't like us having days off, and I was one guy on the team that, the guys were always like, "Oh, Seuss, go talk to Dave, see if we can get this and that. Maybe we can get a day off." So I'd always go in there and joke with him, and sometimes he had a glass office. The whole thing was glass, so he could see me walking down the hallway. So I'd go in there and be like, "Hey, Dave, like, boys are kind of hoping we can get a day off. We won tonight." Once in a blue moon, he'd say, "Yeah, okay, enjoy it." Once in a while, he'd make a joke and say, "You do have a day off. You're not going on the ice tomorrow. You're just working out." But most of the time, I'd open the door and I'd start walking down that hallway. Before I even get to his office, he'd be like, "Seuss, see you tomorrow." Before I even get a chance to ask. So, he was awesome for me, and I respect him so much.
Cool. That's neat. Very neat. So how did you end up here in the island? You finished off at Mississauga. I'm always curious how guys ended up here. What was your story?
Yeah, so to be honest, for the most of my junior, even in my overage year, really until the end, I was kind of not really talking to school teams. I was really trying to go pro and holding on to that. And I just remember I wasn't really getting the one-way. Like I always said, if I got a one-way American League deal, I would go for sure. If not, I'd think about school. And I remember my parents were talking to me about it, and they wanted, like, if I got a one-way, I can go. But if not, they would have been really happy to see me go to school. And I had a really good school package. So anyways, when I started talking to teams after the Memorial Cup, all on the East Coast, I knew I was going to go there, but I ended up coming down to UPEI and UMB, and I had great talks with UMB, and how great their program is. But one thing that really stood out to me was Forby. One thing I'll never forget, he said to me, he said, "Why join a team that's constantly winning without you when you could come here and change a program and really make an impact and help me make this team a winner and be a big part of it." And I love a challenge, and I don't want to just win easy. I want to do what I got to do, and grind it out and try to be a big piece of something special. So obviously I fell short of that. We never won. We had some really good teams, and I loved being there, but I 100% don't regret the decision. I wouldn't be the player I am if I didn't go to UPEI and play for Forby. So
Great stuff.
yeah.
So it's one of the things I remember about you is it was in your first game. And this stuck out for me. I remember you a bit from the Telus Cup, but this incident stuck out to me. We were playing St. Mary's, and it was a big defenseman. I think his name was Wallingford. I think he was a defenseman for St. Mary's.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Over and he smoked, big guy, big right shooting defenseman.
Yeah.
And he smoked you by the blue line where you guys came out in the dressing room. And you were down for a bit. And then I watched you. The play kind of ensued. And the puck went in the corner. And then this picture was what you did next. For you went in and you just lambasted that 6'5", 220-pound guy. And you took him on after he just lambasted you. And I guess what that told to me was that you're a warrior and you would do anything to try and win and to make your team win. And it was that sort of moment that I realized we had kind of a special player coming here to UPEI. To your point about being a leader and coming in and being a part. You played the game hard all the time, didn't you?
Yeah, and like I still do now. It's just the way I play. It's who I am. And yeah, and a lot of it comes from my dad, to be honest. My dad's a tough guy. He was big in, like, he didn't get to play hockey growing up. He did more boxing and stuff, but he obviously knew from a young age that I wasn't going to be the biggest guy on the ice. And I remember in minor hockey going to games and, he'd be like, hey, they got so-and-so on that team, some monster kid they have, and he'd be like, make sure you get some licks on that guy. You make a point to hit him. And because, going to my OHL draft year, it's changed now, but back then it was still height was a thing.
Big man's game.
Yeah, so I had to prove myself every day that I'm not too small. So I'd always make a point to go after the biggest guys and hit everything I see. And so yeah, that was where it all comes from, really. And I've always had that chip on my shoulder of being, one of the smaller guys. And but yeah, always I'm looking to make a big hit on someone and take on someone bigger than me. So yeah, it got me to the American League, to be honest.
Yeah,
I kind of played that role there, and now carried me all the way through, and it's just a huge tool in my toolbox for hockey.
Good for you. Good for you. So when you think back about your time here, like, your teams were hard to play against. It was always the Cowboys, right? And that was kind of the identity of that team. And there was a lot of like heat-seeking missiles, I would sort of say. And it was a fun team to watch because of that. And arguably one of the best defense corps at from 1 to 6, strong goaltending. When you think about your time, what do you think back? When your time spent here in the island.
Well, I think many things. I loved my time there. Playing for Forby was great for me. And you mentioned the Cowboys. Like, I still remember the day that became a thing, because it was our first exhibition game schedule of the year. And I remember thinking, what the hell have I got myself into? Because the trip was, our first preseason game was, we drove to Fredericton. We played St. Thomas. Drove overnight on the bus to Ottawa. Couldn't get in our rooms when we got there first thing in the morning. I was sleeping in a conference room on the floor. And then we played, was it Carleton or? No,
Yeah.
we played Ottawa GG's, and then we played Carleton. And then we drove to Montreal, and then we played back-to-back against McGill. This was 4 nights, 4 games with all that travel, and we won all 4 games.
Wow.
And, yeah, and McGill was the defending national championship, and I think they won that year too, that we beat them.
Yeah.
So, but I remember after that 4th game, we were so tired. We were about to hop back on the bus, go all the way back to PEI. And Forby came in after the game, and he just looked around. He's got that look in that voice. He you effing guys, you're effing Cowboys. And everyone started yelling.
So that's where it came from.
That's where the Cowboys were born. And
isn't that something? That's a great
yeah, it's
story.
pretty cool, man. Pretty
That's
cool.
a great
So,
story.
but yeah,
So-
I just
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
4 years was amazing. And playing for 4B, I wouldn't be the player I am. He gave me so much confidence and let me play my game and be myself, really. And, if I made a mistake, I wasn't going to get benched every time. Like, he gave me a little bit of a leash, and that grew my confidence and making me become who I am now. So
Good. So, didn't you guys develop a special relationship with the young fella down east? Did you not?
yes, I did. Gosh,
Caden McGuigan.
that's it. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was just
You guys. He kind of became a bit of a bond. A bond was created without getting into too much detail, but that was a pretty big part of your guys' connection with him, right? You guys kind of took him under your wing a little for a few years there, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. It just came from an idea I had I was watching a hockey game one day, and I saw them do a little thing on Travis Hamonic, and similar situation as the young boy, and he was taking in kids and bringing them into the games and locker rooms and all that. So I just literally messaged Forby when I saw that, and I thought this would be a good idea. We could try and get this thing to work, and it did, and it was amazing. And yeah, something that was pretty special, and I'm glad he got to go.
He's now playing Major U18. I don't know if you know Major Midget here.
Really?
Yeah, he's playing my nephew Luke. So he's kind of come along in his hockey career. Big boy. I think he's around 6'2", 200 pounds.
That's crazy because when I think of, I can remember his face, but it's just a little boy. He's a little kid.
Yeah. That was a great story. That was a great heartwarming story for sure. So it's one of the other things that happened. We had Paul Drew in 07 won the FISU Cup. This year we had TJ Shea and Matt Broussard, who were part of the FISU. Unfortunately, Kyle Maximovich couldn't make it due to injury. But you also had the opportunity back with a bunch of AUS comrades to win the FISU as well. You were part of that team. What are your memories of that in terms of, because there's you, Mayo, Savvy, and Reggie, maybe? Reggie Trishita?
No, not Reggie. Darn, who was the fourth one? Me, Mayo, Savvy.
Wally?
Oh, Wally. Yeah, Wally was there too. Yeah.
What's that like?
It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. We played in northern Italy, close to Bolzano, actually, where I ended up playing my first year pro in Europe. Yeah. And yeah, just an experience that's once in a lifetime. And we had a great team, obviously. Our league was really strong that year, so it was a lot of guys to pick from. So I remember being nervous about, I really wanted to make that team, and getting the call was something special. And Forby was there as well, assistant coach. So yeah, what an experience playing against all these other teams and countries. And but I'm banned for life, I'm pretty sure, from FISU games. So because I got in a fight in the gold medal game against a guy on Kazakhstan. He was 6'7". I got in a fight, and that doesn't fly in the FISU game. So I don't even know if I was a coach one day, I don't think I could even go. So that's,
you made a habit of grabbing headlines, buddy. You had that incident where the video camera was going on and they caught you. I don't know where was that. Was that in Bolzano, or you were coming out after the second period or going into the dressing room? And
I got a fight there. Yeah,
where was that?
I was playing with Bolzano. That was my first year in Europe.
Right.
And we were playing a team called Zagreb, which is actually in Croatia. Right. But they also play in the Austrian league, and just kind of happened. And then, I woke up in the morning, and my mom was texting me saying it was on Sportsnet and TSN, and I was like, oh, boy. So I got in some trouble for that one, but pretty cool.
Hey, you're still around 8 years later. It must be all good because, here you are. You've carved out a career 8 years as a pro. It's pretty impressive, Seuss. I know you got another year coming on your career in Munich, but that's pretty for a guy who admittedly has basically fought his way through and competed his way through. You got to feel good about the fact that, here you are 8 years later and you're still carving out a living over in Europe playing hockey. You have to feel pretty. I feel proud for you. You have to feel pretty good yourself.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I am proud. To be honest, like you said, I've never been handed anything. There's guys that I see that, have been kind of gift wrapped some opportunities, whether, they're drafted high but don't pan out, but they're still given opportunity, or guys that used to play in the NHL and then over here, they're kind of, you can see they're not doing so well, but they're still gift wrapped in some contracts and good salary for, because of what they did in the past. And I was never a guy that was given anything. And, one of my proudest moments actually was my first year out of UPEI. When I went to Hawks camp, I had a great camp. And, I'm a nobody. I'm just a guy that was in the CIS the year before. And I had signed a two-way deal with American League East Coast that year. So I was just expecting to get sent down right away. But I had a great camp, actually, and they gave me a game in Montreal, preseason game, and that was special. My whole family went. And just to think, like, the year before, I was in CIS, and here I am now. And, ended up sticking on the American League pretty much the whole year except the first 2 weeks of that season. I was in the American League the whole year on a pretty stacked lineup, and I was playing every night. That was a pretty proud moment for me to get that far. And then, even when I came over to Europe, it was tough because in the American League, I was playing fourth line and pretty much fighting all the time. So the points weren't there. So it's harder to get good jobs here. So I pretty much started not so much at the bottom, but lower end. And every year I switched teams and countries, just grinding my way to get up to where I want to be. And, I got to Sweden, and which is tops of Finland and Sweden, tops of Europe. And then I actually ended up signing a KHL deal too. Got fired a week before I left. They got a new coach in, and they fired everybody before I even got there. But that's another story. And then ended up in Germany here, and now I'm with Red Bull Munich, which is a destination in Europe that everybody wants to be. This is a coveted spot to be because it's Red Bull and great city and great league. So I feel like I'm finally I'm never satisfied, but I mean, I'm content where I'm at.
Good for you.
And for the first time, I want to stay somewhere, and I'm happy to be here. I just want to kind of make this a home, which I haven't had for my whole career. I've been signing 1-year deals every year. So to get a 2-year deal here, and hopefully, I see myself just staying here for as long as my legs and body hold up. I'll keep going. And
how's the body holding up? You play hard,
it's been good. I've been lucky, and I actually just broke my first bone just over a week ago now. I broke my foot. Bad timing because now we have playoffs coming up. We're on a little break here. We finished the regular season on this past Friday, and now we got a bye in the first round, so we're waiting. And I got 10 more days till game 1. But tough timing. But I'll be back. Hopefully, game 1 I can somehow get back. If not, I won't be too much longer after that.
Sush, you ever seen Jerry Fleming? Do you know Jerry Fleming? He's coach of Leuven. Leuven, is it Leuven?
Björk Leuven in Sweden?
No, in
Leuven, Frankfurt. Leuven, Frankfurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that your league?
That's our league, yeah.
Yeah, he coaches there. He played at UPEI.
Is he the head coach?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Introduce yourself to him. Great fellow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, he just because that team came up this year from the second league. Now this was their first year in the first league, and he managed to squeak them in the last spot of playoffs. So that's a big accomplishment for them.
Good. Yeah. No, great fellow. I actually interviewed him back before Christmas. As one of these segments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Good guy. Make that connection. So, buddy, listen. The teams you didn't get to participate in the U Sport Cup, but Orby's team is this year, and we're hosting and coming up in a couple of weeks, or on March St. Patty's Day. We're going to get the green on and go and host, looking like Calgary at this point. If you had a message to send to the boys, what would you want to say to your fellow Panthers who are shooting up for that tournament, Zeus?
Yeah, I mean, enjoy it. Most importantly, have fun with it, and just realize that, especially for seniors and stuff, for some of them, it might be their last game they ever play competitively. For some guys, it's their last game with UPEI, moving on pro. And, guys will be moving on with their lives, and just embrace the whole thing, have the most fun, leave it all out there. They have an opportunity to do something that, to be honest, has UPEI ever won a national championship? So they'd have something that none of us alumni can ever say we've ever done, and they could do something really special. So, so just enjoy it, have the best time of your life, and, have a great time with the boys, and just work your asses off and go win that thing.
Couldn't said it better, buddy. Listen, one final question. Who makes the best chocolate chip cookies in Prince Edward Island?
That's got to be Sharon Beck. Got to be Sharon Beck, and I'm a big chocolate chip cookie connoisseur, so I know my cookies. Yeah, I never said no to a batch of Sharon Beck chocolate chip cookies.
You quaffed them down pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Zeus, listen, I'm a big fan of yours all the time you're here. I'm really glad to see. I enjoyed having you over when you come over for Sunday nights, things like that. It was great. I love the success. You've had great success, buddy, and I'm happy for you, and we're happy for you as Panther fans. And just keep doing what you're doing, man, and having fun. And thanks for coming on and being a part of our segment here today. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'll never forget the hospitality of PEI, and that you showed me as well. Inviting me to your home all the time for dinner and stuff, and that's things that guys don't forget. So thank you so much, and what you guys are doing to grow UPEI, really, hockey. And like we were saying before the interview, that we didn't have all this stuff when I was there. We didn't have the whole social media team, and it's good for the school, and keep growing the team and the game over there. So it's awesome. Thank you.
We will. We're locked in, bud. We're not going anywhere. So thanks a lot, buddy. Continue good success to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.